It's listener's choice.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Starting from today, the 4th of June, the fuel levy is set to increase by 16 cents a litre for petrol and 15 cents for diesel. This levy is a tax added to every litre of fuel you buy. It's often called a silent tax because it's included in the price at the pump. You won't see it listed like VAT. So over the past 10 years, the fuel levy has more than doubled from R1.77 per litre in 2012 to R3.93 cents in 2022. Today, it makes up for around 67% of what you pay at the pump. But what is a fuel levy used for, and is it necessary? That's the conversation we're having. That's what one of the listeners asked us to dissect. I'm joined now on the line by economist Davi Rua to make better sense of what a fuel levy is. Davi, good morning. Welcome to Radio 702. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Good morning to you.
We hear about a fuel levy. We saw yesterday the EFF even challenging this matter in the courts.
Yeah.
They've called it a regressive tax as well. What is a fuel levy? What is it for? What does it exist? What does it serve?
Maybe a bit of a background on the various taxes and how where the fuel levy fits in. A fuel levy is actually a levy. It's not really a tax, but it doesn't really matter because they're all taxes in the end. But there are different kinds of taxes. There are direct taxes, like for example, when you get a salary and they deduct pay as you earn from your salary, that's personal income tax. That is a direct tax. And then you get indirect taxes, and the fuel levy is a good example of an indirect tax because you can't really see it. It kinds of happen. And the same goes for VAT. It also kinds of happen. You can't really see it. People don't really see it. Although we do know that we're paying VAT, it's included in the price. And then you also get progressive taxes. Progressive taxes are typically taxes that go up as your income goes up. They call it progressive tax. It's a weird name why they call it that. And then you get regressive taxes, and the regressive taxes are typically taxes that lie quite heavily on the poor or lower income categories. And VAT is a very good example of that. And the reason why VAT is a regressive tax is because the poor spends most of their money. They don't save that much. And if you spend money, then you pay VAT. While if you save money, then you don't pay VAT on your savings, for example. So the poor, relatively speaking, carry a bigger burden when it comes to regressive taxes. But just keep in mind, when you talk about taxes, you should actually be talking about the whole budget, because if you look at the total tax burden in South Africa, that is hugely progressive, and very few individuals pay just about all the taxes or a lot of taxes. While if you look at the expenditure side of the budget, where the money goes to, then you will find that it mostly goes to poor people. So poor people mostly get the benefit, or most people get the benefit, while the rich people do not get much of a benefit out of the budget. The rich people, for example, they've got their own medical funds and pension funds and health insurance and stuff like that. So the whole budget, if you look at the whole budget, it is hugely redistributional. It's probably the most redistributional budget in the world. Okay, that is just by way of background. So where does the fuel levy fit in? The fuel levy is mostly a regressive kind of tax because South Africa is a large country. Everything is affected by everything mostly is transported in South Africa, and that means that if you pay for something in the end, that thing has been transported to the shop and you indirectly pay for the fuel levy as well. So in that sense, it is a regressive tax, but there are some other benefits to a fuel levy. The fuel levy, for example, is a relatively easy tax to administer, so it's a relatively cheap tax to administer. It's charged very high up in the value chain. So they take the money at the beginning of the value chain, they take the tax off that, and then the tax is included all the way down to the final consumer. While in a case, for example, of value-added tax, that is a much more expensive tax to administer, because in every transaction in the value chain, VAT is charged, value-added tax is charged, and that, of course, makes the whole thing administratively more expensive. And that's for that reason I would say the fuel levy is it's a better tax because it's cheaper to administer and it's very, very broad based. But I think it is important not to look at a single tax only. You have to look at the whole thing. Broadly. And I just want to emphasize the following again, is that we have an exceptionally progressive tax system if you look at all the taxes, and if you look at the expenditure side, that's where the money goes to, mostly not to rich people, and the redistributional impact of the fiscus is really quite large in South Africa.
Let's speak about impact. I felt like today was a double-edged sword. So you hear that the price of fuel is going down, first Wednesday of the month, then you go, yay, and then you hear that the levy is going to go up after 3 years. So it feels like a double-edged sword. Your sense of the impact something like this has on the average South African?
Yeah, the fuel levy is called a levy. It's not a tax, although it is a tax in the end. It's called a levy because it's a fixed amount of money that the Minister of Finance takes off. Whenever you put in petrol, there's a fixed amount of money per litre that goes to the Minister of Finance, and that is called the fuel levy. There are some other levies as well. There's also the so-called the road accident levy that is also levied on the fuel levy. So you pay for that. And like I've said, it starts in the whole value chain. It starts at the top of the whole value chain. And it's a fixed amount of money that goes to the Minister of Finance. It goes to the road accident funds, and of course it goes by way of an income to the Minister of Finance. And just by the way, the total revenue that the Minister of Finance gets from the fuel levy is close to about 100 billion rand, just about 90 billion rand or so, which is a significant tax. Maybe I could just mention this. I love taxes. The first one,
it's okay, can hear that?
The academic side of taxes. The most important revenue source to the Minister of Finance is personal income tax, followed by value-added tax, followed by company taxes, and then followed by the fuel levy. So the fuel levy is a significant tax to the Minister of Finance. But of course, the fuel price itself changes every month. And it changes every month because of two other variables that keep on changing. The one is the international oil price. That goes up and down all the time. And then, of course, the exchange rate of the rand. That goes up and down all the time. And in order to adjust for the changes in the petrol, in the changes in the exchange rate, and of course the international oil price, every month there's an adjustment made to the price of petrol. The other variables, like for example the fuel levy itself, remains constant, but for the rest of the petrol price, that keeps on changing all the time because of these variables that keeps on changing. Now, for this month, for example, the petrol price would have come down by approximately 20 cents a litre.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because the rand appreciated quite nicely, but the oil price also came down a little bit the last couple of months or so. So the combined effect of these, sometimes they can move in opposite directions. Sometimes the oil price will go up and the rand will go stronger. Then you will cancel or neutralize one another to an extent. But this month, the total fall in the petrol price would have been in the region of approximately 20 cents a litre. But at the same time, the Minister of Finance increased the fuel levy with about 16 cents a litre. So the net effect thereof is that the petrol price came down by about 5 cents a litre or so. So that's the reason why we see a reduction in the petrol price this month, although the fuel levy actually went up.
And then the significance to the broader economic picture. I mean, I was asking about the impact on average South Africans, and you speak about this minimal decrease in petrol pricing as well. Yes. But the overall impact on the broader economic picture.
Yeah, well, that is actually a very, very difficult question to answer. And the reason is because if you change something in the economy, it doesn't have a knock-on effect immediately. It takes time. Let me give you one example. If a very important price in the economy is interest rates, and when the Reserve Bank make adjustments to interest rates, that changes the price of money. And that can take as long as 2 years before the whole thing filters right through the economy, that change in interest rates. The same goes for petrol prices. When the petrol price changes, then that will have an impact, a knock-on effect on just about everything right through the economy, but it takes time. And in the meantime, the petrol price can go up and it can go down and it can go up and down. So you get these waves going through the economy, and you can't give you an exact answer to this is the impact that it is going to be, because it takes such a long time before everything is adjusted. And in the meantime, everything changes again. So that is, the economy is like a living organism. With all these price changes taking place all the time. But trying to answer your question, yes, when you talk about the petrol price coming down now, that will be good, for example, on inflation. It's not coming down by much, 5 cents or so, because sometimes we calculate inflation also from a month-to-month basis. So at least that component, the petrol component, will be positive for inflation. But trying to come back again to your question, the rand over time usually depreciates over time, so that's got a negative impact on the economy by way of rising prices, for example. Recently, we've seen a fall in the oil price, generally speaking, for all sort of international political reasons and so on, and the oil price came down quite nicely as well. So the effect of these two, the falling oil price the last couple of months as well as the rand doing a little bit better now. If you combine all of that, then you will see that we have currently an inflation, for example, below 3%, which is really an excellent level of inflation to have. And that's why the Reserve Bank says, and that's why they're pushing for the reduction in inflation targets, because inflation is already very low. And it's not going to be very expensive for the economy to change the inflation targets now. Because if inflation was running about, for example, at 10%, and they changed the inflation targets to 3%, then the Reserve Bank has to increase interest rates quite a lot. And if they do that, that's going to be very painful to the economy, and we're going to pay a very dear price to get inflation eventually down. But since inflation is low already, now it will be relatively easy by simply changing the inflation targets, keeping interest rates perhaps a little bit higher than normal for a while longer, and then we have inflation down to 3%. So this is an excellent, wonderful opportunity for the Reserve Bank to cut interest rates. But yes, so the fall in petrol price is not going to be much. It would have been more if it has not been for the fuel price, but a little bit of fall at least will be more good news than that, certainly.
I'm glad you touched on inflation, because I was wondering whether or not this levy could eventually have an impact, an increase, and that could push up inflation in any way. Is it possible for it to affect that or even consumer prices in a way that's substantial in the long run?
Remember, when you talk about inflation, it is not a single price, it is the change in prices over time. So when prices change over time, if the inflation rate comes down, it doesn't mean prices are coming down. The rate of increase is just slowing down a little bit. But here's the thing, and this is important. So why is the Minister of Finance not reducing the inflation targets? Now that we're in this wonderful position where we can actually cut in the inflation targets or reduce that. Why is he not doing that? And the reason why, and of course he's not going to admit this, but the reason why the Minister of Finance is reluctant to reduce the inflation targets now is because most of the inflationary pressures that we are experiencing in South Africa comes from so-called administrative prices. And administrative prices are prices that are not determined by supply and demand forces in the economy. So it's not a price that's determined or it's not a result of competition in the economy. It's somebody that makes a decision somewhere. And that's typically a bureaucrat somewhere. And the fuel price is an excellent example of that. It's illegal to sell fuel below the prescribed price, for example, because it's a fixed price right through the economy. It varies from region to region, but it's a price that is not determined by supply and demand forces. A bureaucrat makes this decision. There's a formula by way through which the petrol price is calculated. The same goes for Eskom prices, for example. Eskom, they ask NERSA, the energy regulator, that we want a price increase of X. The last increase was something like 12%. And then they simply say this is the price, and that's it. You can't get electricity cheaper because Eskom is basically a monopoly. And this is the point here is that most of these administrative prices, like the fuel levy, like Eskom prices, like municipality levies and so on, are all basically set by bureaucrats. And of course, they do not operate in a competitive environment. They can basically do whatever they want to. And that is the main reason. That's the main source of inflationary pressures that we have in the economy. So if the Minister of Finance now goes and he reduces the inflation targets to, say, 3%, for example, and Eskom comes and asks for another 10% increase, there will be a huge spotlight now on Eskom, and everybody will see that the actual price increase is not coming from the private sector. It comes from the so-called administrative prices. And of course, politically, that's very difficult not to allow the municipalities to increase their prices above a certain level, above the inflation rate and so on. So that is why it's so important to get low inflation and low inflation targets, because if somebody misbehaves, like Eskom, or like the municipalities, or like Transnet, and they increase their prices above the inflation rate, for example, they must have a very, very good reason. In a high inflationary environment, they can do whatever they want to, and nobody's going to see that. So that's the political angle behind this.
Yeah, when you say that, I think about the back and forth around the budget. I mean, we've had 3 iterations of it already, and part of the complaints were bureaucrats are making too many decisions outside of political considerations. So when you flag that, my ears prick a little bit. I know that the fuel levy hadn't been increased over the past 3 years, if I'm correct. But it is something that every time we run into a budget, it's something that people hope would remain as it is, saying that they worry about it doubling. I mean, over the past decade, it's more than doubled. Why do you think government continues to rely on it as an easy revenue? I think you even said earlier that it's easier also to administer.
It is much cheaper and easier to administer. But, having said that, I must just tell you, if I had a say, I would do two things. I would actually increase the fuel levy much, much more, and I will increase value-added tax also much more. Remember what I said earlier? About the redistributional effect of the fiscus in South Africa and who the actual taxpayers are. In fact, when you look at, for example, personal income taxes, there are very few individuals that pay just about all the personal income taxes, and that's the main revenue source to the Minister of Finance. But in the case of personal income taxes, we are over what economists call the Laffer curve. And the Laffer curve means that if you increase those taxes further, your collections will actually fall. Because people will simply emigrate, or they will aggressively organize their tax affairs, or they will stop working or whatever. Let me give you a simple example. If you levy 0% tax on an income, then you will get all the revenue that you want, or at 0%. But if you levy at 100%, you will also get zero, because nobody's going to work. Because why should I work if I have to pay everything to the state? So in the case of personal income taxes, we are already over the so-called Laffer curve. And the personal income tax, but especially company taxes, are hugely damaging to the economy, because that makes it very unattractive to invest in South Africa, and companies move out of the country and so on. So we want company taxes lower. So what I would have done, I would have increased increased value-added tax, or even the fuel levy as well, and I would have reduced company taxes. And before poor people are going to come down on me like a ton of bricks, remember, companies do not pay taxes. Companies shift the tax burden always down to individuals. It is either the shareholder or the consumer that's going to pay for an increase in company taxes. Companies in the end simply do not pay company taxes. So it will be much better to increase VAT, for example, and rather reduce the more damaging taxes, like, for example, company taxes. Also, what one can do, remember, it is better if you want to help the poor, rather not help the poor by zero-rating some items from VAT, for example. It's much better to help the poor directly on the expenditure side. So rather increase your various grants instead of zero-rating some items. And there are many reasons for that. Because if you zero-rate some items, then it makes it easier the system becomes more corruptible, and you distort all sort of prices, and you don't know what it's going to cost you. But if you spend money directly on the poor, then you can see how much money you're actually spending. You can target it better. While if you reduce VAT on certain items, for example, the rich also benefit from that. So those are some of the reasons why I would have increased VAT and why I would have increased the fuel levy, but reduced some other more damaging taxes like company taxes.
Just before I let you go, the EFF lost its matter before the High Court. It had taken the fuel levy increase to the Western Cape High Court. That matter was dismissed. Outa had said yesterday that the minister had done everything he needed to do in order to get over the line. What do you think the EFF did wrong? What could have been done differently to successfully deal with that issue?
Well, this is a legal question. Don't ask me the legal question, but I can give you the kind of philosophical answer to this.
Let's give that a go.
No, the philosophical answer to this is that, we elect certain political leaders, and they must decide how revenue should be, what taxes should be increased or whatever. And from that point of view, I actually agree with the EFF, because the Minister of Finance should put this in front of Parliament, and he has. He has put it in front of Parliament by way of the budget, his budget proposals, and Parliament accepted that. So through the democratic process, it has been accepted. But what I would have liked to see is more debate around these various taxes, and let people be better informed about various taxes and effect thereof on the economy. And I think from that point of view, the EFF perhaps could have had a point.
All right. I will not ask you another political question, but I do think that 2025 has been a lot of learning for a lot of us around the budget, even these levies. Davi, this is not where the country was. These are not discussions we've been having. So I think that it's maybe positive that we are having more of these kind of conversations. Yes, no, no?
Very much so, very much so. I've been analyzing the budget. This would have been my 40th budget that I've analyzed. And I mean, I've been breathing this for the last 40 years. I think I know how the budget and fiscal accounts work, and it's a good thing. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's a fiscal expert nowadays, but it's a good thing so that people know where the money comes from, where the money goes to, because in the end, the budget actually goes to the heart of a democracy.
All right, thank you so much for that input. Thank you so much. That's Davi Ruot explaining there the question that someone asked us to explain the fuel levy. I've got a couple of voice notes in reaction to Davi's comments. Take a listen.
Hey, TD, this guy with the tax guy, I like the way he explains. Like, I got it when he said tax really excites him, like the academic side of it, and it really comes through. I can't say I agree with everything he says, but it's refreshing and to hear somebody who sounds like he knows what he's talking about. You get what I'm saying? So even when he says, increase the VAT and all that, the fuels and whatever, and minimize company tax, there's stuff I wouldn't have agreed with initially, but having somebody like him who sounds like him come up with something like that, which kind of sounds counterproductive, I'd go with him because, hey man, he sold me. He definitely convinced me. He knows what he's talking about. So kudos to him.
Thank you so much for that WhatsApp that's coming from Tato, who says he now understands. So Tato says, now you understand why the VAT had to be hiked. I don't know. I get it. He's qualified it. And I think that's part of the important thing. I think my greatest takeaway from this year is we are trying to have those kind of conversations about our money, right? Some people don't even care for the state of the nation. They wait for budget. And the back and forth we've seen over the past few months around the budget tells you something important. I'm aggrieved that the fuel levy has taken away from us feeling that reprieve at the pumps as far as the fuel is concerned.